If you're looking to get started with strength training, I think you should buy dumbbells before you buy a barbell. Not because barbells don't work, they absolutely do. But I think dumbbells remove more obstacles that stops beginners from exercising consistently. They're easy to learn, they take up less space, they need very little setup, you don't need a squat rack, you're less likely to need a spotter, you don't need to spend half your workout changing plates, and because of that, you spend less time preparing to train and more time actually training. That's why I recommend them. Now, a lot of people judge exercises by asking which are best, but I don't think that's helpful. I think beginners and those who are looking to get into a regular training routine should ask, what does this exercise cost me? Because every exercise has a cost. And I'm not just talking about physical effort. An exercise costs time, setup, confidence, coordination, flexibility, decisions, motivation. The more those costs add up, the harder it is to stay consistent. And remember, consistency is what gets you results. See training sessions as building blocks you're placing on top of one another. A few months ago, I was short on time but was very keen to do some training, so I chose to practice some clean and jerks with barbell. I started light and increased the weight every few reps. I was moving every minute or so, and in about 15 minutes, I'd performed nearly 70 reps of pulling, squatting, and pressing. It was a brilliant session, but here's the important part. I could only do that because I'd already paid the entry fee. I've spent years practicing these lifts, improving my mobility, getting comfortable with a barbell, and of course, learning from making mistakes in the process. And this is what I mean when I talk about the cost of an exercise. If you've never lifted weights before, think about everything involved with using a barbell. You need the right space, you need a rack, you need plates, you need to decide how much weight to use, and with more plates come more decisions. You need to load the bar, you need a good understanding of how to lift the bar. You need to know your limitations, be that with mobility, strength, coordination. You need enough confidence to lift it safely. If it's heavy, you might even feel like you need someone to spot you. These things all create friction. Every decision, every extra piece of equipment, every minute setting things up are all opportunities to put your training session off until tomorrow. Now compare that with a set of dumbbells. You pick them up, goblet squat, bench press, bent over row, lunge. 4 simple movements, a complete full body training session. There's very little setup, very little waiting around. You can move from one exercise to the next seamlessly and complete a lot of work in little time. If you're a busy person who's looking to train at home, this is a very efficient way to train. Even the exercises you choose make a difference. Take the split squat, for example. It's an excellent exercise and I prescribe it frequently, but they take longer to perform because you work one side then the other. You've effectively doubled the amount of work for that movement. If your goal is simply to get stronger, healthier, and more consistent, then a goblet squat might give you a better return on your time. The point isn't that one exercise is good and another is bad. The point is that every exercise has a cost. People often ask me, what are the best exercises? But I think a better question is, which exercises give you the biggest return on your investment? Not just your effort, but your time, your attention, confidence, your motivation. If an exercise takes twice as long to set up, needs more equipment, requires more skill, or seems less appealing for any other reason, then for a beginner, it probably isn't the better choice. That's really how I think about coaching. I'm not trying to find the perfect exercise. I'm trying to remove as many barriers as possible between you and actually getting your training done. That's why I recommend training at home. It's why I recommend training with dumbbells, and it's why I keep training programs simple. Because the people I coach aren't trying to become Olympic weightlifters or powerlifters. They're trying to become stronger, fitter people who can keep exercising for years. And to do that, I think it's useful to have a simple framework for making decisions. Whenever you're choosing equipment, choosing exercises, or writing a program for yourself, ask yourself the question, what's the return on investment? Does the extra complexity produce enough benefit to justify it? If it doesn't, choose the simpler option. Because over the long term, if you follow a program consistently, you'll achieve more than you would than if you were chasing the perfect workout. And that's why, if you're just getting started, I think you should choose dumbbells instead.